Hey guys, tonight we begin with the worst group trip of your miserable medieval life. Hit like and subscribe while you still have fingers, and comment which century you want to regret visiting next. Congratulations! You just woke up in October 1097, under a damp, scratchy blanket that smells like wet dog, piss, and fear. The good news? You're alive. The bad news? So are the fleas. You're camped outside Antioch, that giant city you've been staring at for weeks, squatting in the mud, waiting for someone richer to figure out what to do next. You don't care about Jerusalem. You barely know where you are. You're here because your Lord told you it's holy. You're here because taxes are scarier than Turks. You sit up, scratching your ribs, feeling the scabs, the bites, the dirt caked under your nails. Your stomach growls, a long, hollow sound you've heard too often. You reach for your bread, break off a chunk, and almost break a tooth. It tastes like old dust and mold, but you chew because hunger is worse. Around you, the camp is waking up. Men coughing, spitting, groaning. Someone retching bile into the mud. A priest muttering prayers over a dying man who doesn't even notice. Someone's kid is crying. Someone's goat is screaming. Someone's arguing about who stole whose onion. The air is thick with smoke, shit, and rot. Your nose got used to it weeks ago, but every morning it finds new ways to remind you it hates you. You hear the knights arguing again, their shiny helmets glinting in the weak morning sun, voices raised, words like glory, faith, honor. You wonder if any of them ever went hungry. You wonder if they notice the bodies being carted away behind them. You stand, stretching your stiff legs, feeling the sores on your feet crack and sting. Your boots are more whole than leather now, patched with rope and hope. Your socks? Gone weeks ago. Your toes are always cold, even when the sun is high. You glance at the walls of Antioch, towering, smug, with watchful archers who send arrows like whispers of death. You've seen what they do. A man next to you took one in the eye last week. You still hear his screams sometimes at night. Sometimes, at night, you lie under your thin blanket, clutching your knife, staring at the stars, thinking about home. Your mother's bread. Your brother's laughter. The sound of the river near your village. You close your eyes, and you're back in the mud. You dream of bread. You dream of water that doesn't taste like rust and slime. You dream of warmth. You wake up to cold mud, cold air, and the cold truth that you're still here. This morning, you notice something. Your neighbor, the one who snored so loud you wanted to smother him, isn't moving. You poke him. Nothing. You check if he's breathing. Nothing. You leave him there. You don't have time to care. Whispers crawl through the camp like rats. Plague. Some say it's demons. Some say it's punishment. Some say it's the foul air from the swamps nearby. You don't care what it is. You care that it's killing people faster than hunger. You see carts rolling through the mud, wheels sticking, carrying bodies piled like firewood, arms dangling, eyes open, mouths frozen in screams. You look away, swallowing hard, tasting bile. The priest tells you it's God's will. That you should pray harder, repent, fast. You're already starving, you think. You pray anyway. Because it's all you can do. You tie a rag around your mouth. You saw others do it. You heard it helps. It doesn't. The smell of death still seeps in, sweet and heavy, sticking in your throat. Your hands are cracked, bleeding, dirt embedded in the cuts, stinging every time you move. You can't waste water on washing. Water is for drinking, rationed, muddy, and never enough. You try to keep working. You dig ditches for latrines. You carry wood for fires you're not allowed to stand near. You help build fortifications you might die defending. Your arms shake with every load. Your stomach growls, ignored. Your bones feel empty. You see people steal bread from the dead, stripping rings from cold fingers, cutting belts and boots to sell for crumbs. You think about doing the same. You don't. Yet, at night, the camp is restless. The cries of the sick, the moans of the dying, the soft, panicked weeping of men who think no one can hear them. You hear wolves howling in the hills. You hear dogs tearing at something outside the camp, growling, bones cracking. You know what they're eating. You think about leaving, running into the night, disappearing into the hills. But where would you go? You're not here for glory. You're here because you were told to be. Because they said your sins would be forgiven if you died here. Because they said God would protect you. You don't feel holy. You feel hungry. You feel tired. You feel afraid. You are at the siege of Antioch. You are a peasant. You are alive. And you get to live with it. You wake up coughing. Your throat is dry, cracked, tasting like metal and bile. You spit, hoping it's just spit. It's not just spit. Someone screaming nearby. Not the battle scream, not the kind that says arrow in the gut. The sick kind. The I'm dying and it's taking forever kind. You pull your rag tighter over your mouth. The smell is worse now. Rot, shit, blood. The plague has a smell. Sweet, like rotten fruit, crawling up your nose and sitting there. You try not to breathe. You fail. You step outside your tent, or what you call a tent, which is just a patchwork of holes pretending to be fabric. The mud squelches under your feet, cold, sucking. Your boots were never good. Now they're falling apart, soft and wet, your toes pushing through. Your stomach growls. Nothing to feed it. You chew on a piece of leather, hoping it will trick your belly. It doesn't. You walk past the fires, past men huddled in blankets, shivering even with the flames. You see the eyes, sunken, glassy, waiting. You know that look. It's the look of someone who won't get up tomorrow. You see the carts again. Rolling slowly, wheels catching in the ruts, bodies piled high. Arms hanging. Feet poking out. A head lolling, mouth open, flies crawling over the tongue. You look away. Again. Someone's praying, loud, desperate, begging for God to stop this. Someone else is stealing from the dead while they're still warm. You see a man pull boots off a corpse, wiping blood on his pants, slipping them on over his own bare feet. You look at your boots, at your toes poking out, and for a moment, you think about doing the same. The priests walk through the mud, swinging incense, muttering prayers, telling you this is God's will. That you need to be strong. That faith will protect you. You wonder if faith will fill your stomach. You wonder if faith will keep the fleas off your skin. You wonder if faith will stop your teeth from falling out. Someone collapses in front of you, hitting the mud with a wet slap. You don't move to help. You can't afford to. You see the knights arguing, again, loud, armored, clean compared to you, though even they stink now. They talk about tactics, about glory, about what God wants. You think God probably wants a bath. Food is running out. Bread is hard to find, and when you find it, it's moldy, crawling, but you eat it. Anything is food now. Rats are food. Dogs are food. If you can catch it, it's food. You see a man boiling leather, scraping the hair off, chewing it like it's meat. You see another man trying to eat grass, puking it up, crying. Water is low, too. You drink from puddles, mud swirling in the cup, your reflection warped, your eyes hollow. You scratch at your skin, hard, until it bleeds. Lice crawl everywhere, tiny soldiers that never lose. You pick one off your neck, crush it, smear it on your pants. There are always more. At night, you lay down, curling into yourself, pulling the ragged blanket over your head, trying to hide from the cold, from the smell, from the coughing, from the dying. Sleep comes in short, broken pieces, and when it does, it's filled with dreams of home. Of warm bread. Of your mother's hands. Of your brother's laugh. Of the river, cold and clear. You wake up, and the river is a muddy ditch. Your mother is gone. Your brother is dead or missing. The bread is mold and air. Morning comes again, if you can call it morning, when the sky is grey and the air is heavy. You get up because if you don't, you won't. The air is thick with smoke from the fires, from the bodies being burned now because there are too many to bury. The smoke sticks to your clothes, to your skin, to your hair. You smell like death. Someone says the Turks are coming. Someone else says they are starving too. You don't care. Your war isn't with them. Your war is with your stomach. Someone is caught stealing a piece of bread. They beat him until he stops moving. You watch. You think about the bread. You think about how it might have been worth it. You are not a soldier. You are not a knight. You are not a hero. You are a peasant. You are at the siege of Antioch. You are cold. You are hungry. You are alive. And you get to live with it. You wake up to cold. The kind that bites your bones. The kind that settles in your wet clothes and refuses to leave. You're shaking before you even open your eyes. You sit up, pulling the blanket around your shoulders, crusted with dirt and frozen at the edges. You rub your arms, your breath fogging in the air, drifting like ghosts you wish would leave you alone. Your stomach growls, empty again. It's been empty so long you almost forget what full feels like. You chew on a piece of leather, soft from days in your mouth, tasting like old sweat and salt. You chew because it gives your jaw something to do while you try not to think about food. Outside, the camp is quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after too many people die. You stand, your joints crack, your toes numb, your feet wrapped in rags that used to be socks. You step into the mud, frozen on top, slush beneath, your feet wet immediately, cold shooting up your legs. Smoke curls in the air, thick, heavy, sweet. You know what's burning. Bodies. Too many to bury now, so they burn them outside the camp. The smell clings to you, sticks in your nose, crawls down your throat, settles in your stomach. You scratch your neck, your chest, your arms. Lice. Always lice. You crush them under your fingernails, leaving streaks on your skin, but there's always more. The plague is still here. It doesn't leave. It lives in the coughs you hear at night, in the rags tied around mouths, in the hollow eyes of men who can't stand up anymore. You walk past a man sitting in the mud, rocking back and forth, holding his knees, whispering to himself. You walk past a woman digging through the mud with her hands, looking for crumbs someone dropped. You walk past a child, sitting alone, too still. Knights ride through the camp, their horses kicking up mud, ignoring the people who jump out of the way. They are arguing again. About walls, about towers, about God. About glory. You're told to help build a siege tower. You don't know how to build a siege tower. But you're told, so you go. You carry wood, heavy on your shoulders, splinters stabbing your skin, your arms shaking with the weight. Your hands bleed. Your back aches. Your legs tremble. A knight shouts at you to hurry. You want to tell him to carry the wood himself, but you don't. You want to live. You drop the wood by the half-finished tower, where men with hammers work, their hands as dirty as yours, their eyes just as empty. You turn around, go back for more wood. You do this all day. Your stomach empty. Your mouth dry. Your body weak. You see people selling whatever they have for food. A ring. A cloak. A knife. Some sell more than that. You see a man sell his daughter for a loaf of bread. You see the girl cry. You look away. At night, you sit by a small fire, the heat barely enough to warm your hands. You hold them close, watching the flames, the sparks drifting up into the dark sky. Your hands shake. You hear coughing behind you. You hear someone groaning in the dark. You hear someone praying, whispering for God to end it. You lay down, pulling your blanket around you, the ground hard, the cold seeping in. You close your eyes, but you don't sleep. You drift in and out, listening to the camp breathe, cough. Cry, die. In your dreams, you're home. Your mother hands you bread, warm, soft, alive in your hands. You bite into it, taste it, feel it fill you. You wake up, biting your blanket. Morning comes again. The cold is worse. Your joints stiff, your skin cracked, your lips bleeding when you try to speak. You get up. Because if you don't, you won't. You hear rumors. That the Turks are coming. That there will be a battle. That maybe this will end soon. You don't believe it. You look at the walls of Antioch, tall, strong, watching you. You wonder if you'll ever see inside. You wonder if you'll die here, in the mud, nameless, hungry. You are not a hero. You are not a soldier. You are not holy. You are a peasant. At the siege of Antioch. Covered in lice. Hungry. Cold. Alive. And you get to live with it till morning. Your breath is a cloud in the cold. You stretch, bones popping, joints screaming, your skin cracked where it bled in the night. Your blanket is damp, heavy with frost. You roll it up anyway. Your stomach growls, angry, empty. You chew a piece of hard bread you traded lice-filled wool for yesterday. It tastes like mold and dirt. You eat it anyway. Someone says there's a raid for food. You listen. A knight wants a group to sneak near Antioch's walls, find grain, find animals, find anything. You don't want to go. You go anyway. You walk with a group in the dark, mud sucking at your feet, your breath loud in your ears. You clutch your knife. It's small, rusty, better than nothing. You get close to a farm near the walls. Chickens scream when someone grabs them. Someone kills a goat, quick, blood steaming in the cold. You grab a sack of grain, heavy, precious. Arrows fly. One hits the man next to you. He screams, drops, clutching his neck. You step over him. You don't stop. You run back to camp, lungs burning, legs shaking. You clutch the sack like your life depends on it. It does. Back in camp, you see the man who got hit. They dragged him back. He's still breathing, gurgling, eyes wide. You look away. The plague cart rolls by again. A pile of bodies, frozen stiff, faces you know. One man's eyes are open, staring at the sky. Flies crawl over his lips. You pull your rag up over your mouth. You see a priest with the cart, swinging incense, muttering prayers. You don't think the dead care. The fires burn all day now. Bodies are stacked, burned, the smoke thick, sweet, clinging to your clothes. You smell like death, like everyone else. You're called to help push the siege tower. You don't get to say no. The wood is rough, biting into your hands. You push with others, feet sliding in mud, shoulders screaming. Knights yell at you to push harder. You push. The tower creaks, moves, inch by inch. Arrows thud into the wood. One man falls, an arrow in his back. No one stops. You keep pushing. You hear the crack of stones hitting the tower, the screams of men falling, the clash of steel as knights try to hold a small breach. The day is chaos. Smoke. Blood. Screaming. The smell of burning hair when the enemy sets part of the tower on fire. You run buckets of water, passing them up, hands shaking. You see a knight above you, bleeding, holding a crossbow. He looks at you. You look back. You don't know his name. He doesn't know yours. He screams when another arrow hits him. You flinch. The fire is out. The tower is blackened, but still standing. You're told to keep watch. You can barely stand. At night, you sit by a dying fire, your cloak wrapped tight, your feet bare, swollen, covered in sores. Your hands are blistered, bleeding, burned. You look at them in the firelight. They don't look like your hands anymore. You try to sleep. You close your eyes. You see arrows flying. You see the dead man's eyes, open, unblinking. You see the smoke, thick, choking. You hear coughing around you, wet, deep, hopeless. You hear someone praying again, soft, shaking. You hear someone weeping. You realize it's you. You wipe your face. You pull your blanket over your head. You pretend you're somewhere else. You dream of home again. Of warm bread. Of clean water. Of your mother's hands. You wake up to mud. To cold. To hunger. You get up. Because if you don't, you won't. You are not a knight. You are not a hero. You are not holy. You are a peasant. At the siege of Antioch. Hungry. Cold. Alive. And you get to live with it. You wake up with mud on your face. You don't know if it's from the ground or from the man who coughed blood next to you in the night. You don't care. Your joints are stiff, your knees screaming when you stand. Your back is bent, your neck pops. You're alive. You hear the bell ringing. You know what that means. Another burial. They need people to dig. You don't get to say no. You walk to the edge of the camp, spade in hand, mud sucking at your feet. The grave pit is wide, dark, full. You smell it before you see it. They bring the bodies in carts, stacked like wood. Arms hanging, heads rolling, eyes open. The priest is there, swinging incense, mumbling prayers. You dig. The earth is heavy, wet, cold. Each shovelful sticks, drips, clumps. Your hands blister, your shoulders burn. You dig anyway. They roll the bodies in. You hear the thuds. You see the way the limbs tangle. You see the faces, mouths open, skin grey. Some are people you knew. You look away. You cover them with dirt. The priest says God will remember them. You wonder if God remembers you. You walk back to camp, your stomach growling, your legs shaking. You pass a night shouting at another night. They argue about who's in charge, who gets the grain, who gets the gold. You hear the words traitor, thief, heretic. You see them draw blades. Steel flashes. Blood spills. They call it justice. You call it stupid. You keep walking. You find your corner of camp, a patch of dirt you pretend is home. You sit. You pull out your piece of bread, the last you have. You break it, chew it slow, letting it turn to paste in your mouth. It tastes like dust. It's gone too fast. Your stomach growls again. You ignore it. The camp is quiet now. Not peaceful. Quiet like a held breath. Like everyone is too tired to speak. Too tired to hope. You hear whispers. That the Turks are coming. That they'll kill everyone. That they'll leave no one alive. You hear whispers that the plague will get you first. That it's better than starving. You're not sure. At night, you lay down on the cold ground, pulling your blanket over you. You feel the lice crawling on your skin. You scratch until you bleed. You scratch anyway. You hear coughing. Wet, deep, close. You pull the blanket tighter. You smell the plague fires. The sweet, heavy smoke from burning bodies. It clings to your hair, your clothes, your skin. You breathe it in. You close your eyes. You see the dead in the pit. You see the night bleeding in the mud. You see your mother's face. You open your eyes. You are here. At Antioch. You are not holy. You are not strong. You are not brave. You are tired. You are hungry. You are cold. You are alive. And you get to live with it. You're woken by shouting. Not the coughs, not the groans, not the weeping. Shouting. Night stomping through the mud, swords out, faces set. They're going to attack the walls. They say it like it's the sunrise, like it's God's plan. You're told to come. To carry wood, rocks, ladders. You don't want to. You go anyway. Your feet slip in the mud as you follow the line. The sky is grey, heavy. The air is cold, damp, thick with the smell of smoke and sweat. You clutch your ladder, splinters biting into your palms. You hear the horns, the shouts, the steel clashing. The walls of Antioch look taller than ever. Men scream as arrows rain down. You see a man next to you take one in the throat. He gurgles, drops, eyes wide. You keep walking. You drop the ladder against the wall. Someone shouts for you to climb. You don't. You run back for another. Men are falling. Arrows thud into wood, into flesh. You hear the cries, the begging for water, the prayers. You see a knight trying to climb, slipping, falling. His helmet comes off. You see his face, young, pale, scared. He doesn't get up. You keep moving. Mud splashes your legs, your face. You taste dirt, blood, fear. Someone tries to pull you up a ladder. You shake your head. You're not a fighter. You're not a hero. You're just here. You hear the order to retreat. The knights are pulling back, covered in blood and mud. Some crawl. Some don't move. You help drag a man back, his leg bent wrong, blood soaking the ground. He cries for his mother. You don't know what to say. You just keep pulling. Back at camp, the wounded are laid in the mud. Some are tended to. Some are left. You hear the moans, the prayers, the screams. You hear the flies buzzing. You drop the ladder, your hands shaking. Your arms are numb, your legs weak. You find a place to sit, pulling your knees to your chest. You watch as a priest moves among the wounded, whispering prayers, giving last rites. He looks tired. Older than he was yesterday. You hear whispers again. Of visions. Of a holy spear buried in the city. Of God's promise of victory. You don't care about holy spears. You care about your next meal. About the warmth you can't find. About surviving another day. Someone nearby dies. You hear the last breath, a rattle. Someone closes his eyes. The body is dragged to the cart. You scratch at your scalp. Lice crawl under your hair, your shirt. You scratch until you bleed. You pull your blanket over your shoulders, trying to block out the cold, the smell, the sounds. You close your eyes. You see the man with the arrow in his throat. You see the knight's young face. You see your mother's hands, pulling bread from the oven. You open your eyes. The camp is dark, the fire's low. The air is thick with smoke. You breathe it in. You are not holy. You are not chosen. You are not brave. You are a peasant. At Antioch. In the mud. In the cold. Alive. And you get to live with it. The hunger gets worse. You think it can't. It does. Your stomach is an angry, hollow drum. It growls so loud at night it wakes you up. You roll over, clutching it, hoping it will quiet down. It doesn't. You chew on grass. You chew on leather. You chew on hope. None of it helps. Someone steals a loaf from a knight's tent. They catch him. They cut off his hand. You watch the blood spray. You watch him scream. You watch him fall. You look at the bread in the knight's hand. You think about what it would taste like. The fires burn all day now. Bodies piled, burning, smoke curling, thick and sweet. You can't tell if it's the plague bodies or the plague killing the bodies. You just smell the smoke. You hear rumors. A priest saw a vision. A holy spear buried in Antioch. God's promise of victory. People whisper. Some believe. Some laugh. Some pray harder. You don't know what to believe. You see the priest, shouting, waving his arms, eyes wild. God is with us, he screams. You see the men around him, eyes sunken, ribs poking out, hands trembling. They cheer. You don't. You think of bread, of water, of warmth. You walk past the ditches near camp. Water sits there, still, dark. Bodies float in it. Faces you know. Flies buzzing. You walk faster. Someone collapses near you, clutching their stomach, vomiting, shaking. You step back. You pull your rag up over your mouth. You know it won't help. You do it anyway. You hear the coughing at night. Deep, wet, close. You pull your blanket tighter. You close your eyes. You dream of bread. Fresh, warm, soft. You dream of your mother's hands, your brother's laugh. You dream of your bed. You wake up with mud in your mouth. You see people selling everything. A ring for a crust of bread. A cloak for a sip of water. Some sell more. You see a woman crying, handing over her child for food. You look away. You can't look away. You see knights arguing. About who gets what. About who's in charge. About who God really wants to win. You see them draw swords. You see blood. You see a man sneak into a tent for food. You see him get dragged out. You see him get kicked. You see him stop moving. You step around him. The sky is grey. The mud is cold. The hunger is worse. You are tired. You are hungry. You are scared. You are not holy. You are not chosen. You are not brave. You are a peasant. At Antioch. In the mud. In the cold. Alive. And you get to live with it. You wake to cold mud pressed against your face. You don't remember falling asleep. You don't remember lying down. You just remember the cold. Your stomach feels like it's eating itself. It growls, loud, echoing in the dawn air. You chew on your sleeve. Just to trick your mouth into thinking something is there. A dog barks somewhere. Then you hear it yelp. Then silence. Someone just found breakfast. Smoke drifts through the camp, grey ribbons curling into the pale sky. You know what it is. Burning bodies. You can taste it now, the sweet rot in the back of your throat. You stand, knees stiff, your blanket falling, your skin goose-pimpled in the morning frost. You scratch your chest, pulling lice from your skin, crushing them between dirty fingernails. You look at the smear. Wipe it on your pants. Repeat. You see a man pulling a dead goat by the legs, mud streaking its fur, its head bouncing off rocks. The man is smiling, teeth cracked, eyes wild. You envy him. You walk to the well. You wait in line, watching as each person dips a cup into brown water. You sip, taste iron, dirt, something else you don't want to name. You drink it anyway. Someone near the well collapses, convulsing, froth at his lips. People step back. Someone whispers, "The plague." Everyone steps away. You walk away too, swallowing, trying to forget the taste of the water in your mouth. In camp, knights argue again. They stand tall, armor dented, cloaks mudded, swords hanging heavy. They argue about God, about the city, about betrayal. You hear the word traitor hiss like a curse. You see hands gripping hilts. You step back. They draw steel. A flash, a scream, blood splashing into mud. It's over fast. No prayers. No mercy. You find a place near the fire, your hands out, trying to catch heat that isn't there. Your breath fogs. Your fingers ache. You pull them back, blow on them, rub them together. You still feel cold. The man next to you mumbles, rocking back and forth, clutching a wooden cross. "God will save us," he whispers. "God will save us." His eyes are red, wet, empty. You don't answer him. Your feet are wrapped in rags, damp, cold, sticking to sores that weep when you walk. You feel every step. You walk anyway. You see the walls of Antioch, black against the dawn, looming, silent, indifferent. You hate those walls. The rumor is that soon there will be a final assault. That the holy spear has been found. That God is on your side. You don't see God here. You see mud. You see hunger. You see death. A child cries nearby, clutching her mother's leg. The mother looks at you, her eyes hollow, begging for something you don't have. You look away. They ration bread. You get a piece the size of your thumb. You put it in your mouth, let it soften, swallow it whole. Your stomach growls for more. There is no more. Someone near the fire bites into a rat. Fur and all. You look away. Your mouth waters. A man offers you a piece of dried meat. You trade a piece of cloth for it. You bite it. It's tough, salty, gamey. You chew slow, eyes closed, letting the taste sit on your tongue. You swallow. Your stomach growls again. You hear coughing. Deep, rattling, hopeless. You see blood on a man's hand as he wipes his mouth. He sees you looking. He looks away. At night, you lay down, your blanket pulled over your head, the cold still getting in. You hear whispers in the dark. Will we live? Will we eat tomorrow? Will God help us? No one answers. You scratch your leg, feeling the lice crawling, biting. You crush them, one by one, but they always come back. You think of home. Of bread baking. Of warm hands on your shoulders. Of laughter. You open your eyes to mud, smoke, cold. The fires burn all night. The smell is sweet, heavy, inescapable. You breathe it in. You sleep in it. You dream of bread. Morning comes again. You sit up, your body aching, your joints stiff. You stand, because you have to. You walk, because you must. You are not holy. You are not chosen. You are not brave. You are a peasant. At Antioch. Hungry. Cold. Alive. And you get to live with it rain. Cold, steady, endless rain. It drips from your hood. Runs down your neck. Pools in your boots. The mud is deeper now. It swallows your feet, sucking with every step. You pull, step, pull, step. Your legs ache. Your back aches. Your stomach aches. You see men digging ditches to drain the water. It doesn't help. You see bodies floating in the water, bloated, pale, drifting like sacks of grain. Flies buzz. Even in the rain, they find the dead. The fires still burn. Wetwood smokes, choking you, stinging your eyes. The smell of burning hair, flesh, sickness mixes with the rain, clinging to your clothes, your skin, your tongue. You hear whispers in the rain. Cannibals. Men eating men. You don't believe it. You don't want to believe it. You see a man chewing something, looking around with wild eyes. You look away. You wonder if you would know the difference. The priests walk through the mud, robe-soaked, whispering about the holy spear, about victory, about God. They wave crosses, chant, promise salvation if you fight. Fight. With what? You have a rusty knife. A tired body. A hungry stomach. They say it's time. Time for a final assault. Time to end it. Knights ride through the camp, splashing mud, shouting orders. Men drag ladders, ropes, bundles of wood. You are handed a spear. The wood is rough, splinters digging into your palm. The tip is dull. You take it anyway. You line up with others. Faces thin, eyes hollow, hands shaking. Rain drips from noses, chins, fingertips. The mud is up to your ankles. You look at the walls of Antioch, dark against the grey sky. You hear the horns. You move. You step. Mud sucks. You step. Rain drips. You step. You feel fear in your chest, sharp, cold. Arrows fly. You see a man next to you take one in the leg, screaming, falling. Someone drags him back. You keep walking. A knight waves his sword, shouting, covered in rain and mud. He looks like a god of war. You see the fear in his eyes. You reach the wall. The shouting is everywhere. Steel on steel. Screams. The wet slap of bodies hitting mud. You lift the ladder. You help push it against the wall. Arrows thud into wood. Men climb. Men fall. Blood mixes with the rain, running down the ladder, dripping onto your hands. You step back, slip, fall into the mud. Your face splashes, mud in your mouth, your nose, your eyes. You choke, spit, wipe your face with your sleeve. You stand. You grab a man's arm, help him up. He is bleeding. He looks at you. He doesn't say thank you. You don't expect him to. The rain keeps falling. The mud gets deeper. The screaming continues. You see a man run, an arrow in his back, blood mixing with water, leaving a trail as he collapses. You see a knight fall from the ladder, hitting the mud, his helmet rolling away, eyes open, empty. You see men praying, hands lifted, mouths open, voices lost in the noise. You are told to push forward. You push. You slip. You push. The day feels like it never ends. Rain. Mud. Screams. Your hands are numb, cold, raw. You grip the spear, not remembering when you picked it up again. You see a man trying to climb, slipping, falling, climbing again. You see him get hit by a stone from above, his skull breaking, blood and rain splashing you. You taste it. You spit. You keep moving. You don't know why. You see a priest holding up a cross, shouting, "God is with us." You see an arrow hit him in the chest. He falls. The cross falls with him. You see a knight screaming, swinging his sword, covered in blood. You see him trip. He doesn't get up. The horns sound again. Retreat. You pull back, slipping, falling, getting up. You drag a man with you. You drop him when you get to the edge of camp. You collapse near a fire, shaking, soaked, mud dripping from your clothes. Your hands are cut, blood and mud mixing. You can't tell where one ends and the other begins. You hear the rain. You hear the moans of the wounded. You hear someone crying softly. You close your eyes. You dream of bread again. You wake to rain on your face. It hasn't stopped. It never stops. You are not holy. You are not chosen. You are not brave. You are a peasant. At Antioch. In the rain. In the mud. Alive. And you get to live with it. You wake up hungry. Not the hunger you felt for weeks. A new hunger. Sharper. Deeper. Meaner. Your belly cramps, twisting, screaming at you. You curl up in the mud, arms wrapped around yourself, rocking. It doesn't help. You hear others groaning, coughing, vomiting bile because there's nothing else left to throw up. The rain has stopped. Now it's heat. Dry, heavy, pressing down on you like an angry hand. The mud dries into cracked dirt, pulling at your skin, caking under your nails. Dust rises with every step, mixing with the stink of sweat, shit, rotting bodies. You see men pulling grass from the ground, chewing it, swallowing, gagging, chewing again. You see a woman licking the inside of a pot, scraping the last bits of grease with her fingernail, sucking it clean. Someone dies next to the well. They collapse, face first in the dirt, arms twitching. You step over them. You fill your cup with brown water, sip it slow, letting it wash over your dry tongue. You swallow. You wish for more. There is no more. Rumors run through the camp. The walls will fall. The city will be taken. Food. Water. Salvation. You don't believe it. Knights ride through, shouting, waving banners, telling men to prepare. You see the fear in their eyes. They hide it with anger. You are handed a spear again. The same rough wood. The same dull tip. You take it. You stand in line with others, thin, filthy, shaking. The horns sound. You move. You walk toward the walls. They look smaller today. Maybe it's hope. Maybe it's madness. The sky is clear, blue, wrong. You feel sweat on your back, dripping down your spine, itching. You scratch, smear dirt and blood. You hear the shouting, the horns, the prayers. You feel your heart pounding, fear crawling up your throat. You swallow it down. You reach the walls. Ladders go up. Men climb. Men fall. You hold the ladder, pushing it into place, arrows thudding around you. You see a knight at the top, waving his sword, shouting, pulling himself over the wall. You see others follow. The breach. You hear screaming inside. Steel on steel. Screams. Begging. You climb. Hands slipping, splinters biting, feet searching for holes. You reach the top. You see the city. Streets. Houses. Smoke. Chaos. Men running, fighting, falling. You drop down, your legs buckling, catching yourself on your hands. You stand. You walk through the streets. You see a man dragging a sack of grain, blood dripping from a cut on his arm, his eyes wild. You see a woman clutching a child, her eyes wide, tears streaking her dirt-covered face. You see a knight running a man through with a sword, pulling it out, moving on. You step over bodies. Over blood. Over screams. You smell smoke. You see flames licking at doors, windows, roofs. Black smoke curling into the sky. You see looting. Men tearing through homes, grabbing anything, bread, coins, cloth, chickens. You see them fighting over it, punching, kicking, stabbing. You walk past a house with the door open. You see bread on a table. You rush in, grab it, hand shaking, tears in your eyes. You bite. It is stale. It is hard. It is perfect. You chew, swallowing, ignoring the screens outside, ignoring the heat, ignoring the fear. You take another bite. You see a man enter, his knife out. You back away. He takes another loaf from the table. Your eyes meet. You nod. He nods. He leaves. You keep eating. Outside, the chaos continues. You step back into it, clutching the bread. You see the dead in the streets. Some with swords. Some with nothing. You see blood pooling, running into cracks, turning the dirt black. You see a child crying, sitting next to a woman who isn't moving. You keep walking. You see knights praying in the streets, blood on their hands, crosses around their necks. You see them thanking God. You see a man on his knees, hands raised, shouting that God has delivered victory. Victory! You stand there, bread in your hand, dust on your face, sweat dripping, flies buzzing. You look around. You don't feel victory. You feel tired. You feel empty. You take another bite. The city is taken. Antioch has fallen. The siege is over. You are still hungry. You are still dirty. You are still afraid. You walk through the streets, stepping over the dead, clutching your bread, looking for water, looking for a place to rest. You are not holy. You are not chosen. You are not victorious. You are a peasant. At Antioch. In the dust. In the heat. Alive. And you get to live with it. Victory, they said. The day you walk into Antioch, it smells like fire, shit, blood, and fear. You step over a body in the doorway. It's stiff, face down, flies covering its back like a dark, buzzing blanket. You don't stop to look. You step over another. And another. Your boots squish in blood that's drying in the heat. Your stomach growls, but you gag at the smell. You step into a house. It's half burnt, black streaks climbing the walls. You find a corner that isn't covered in ash or bones. You drop your bundle there, just rags and your knife. You sit. You try not to cry. You fail. Later, you search the house. You find a jar of grain. You find a crust of bread. You find a dead woman, her eyes open, her hair stuck to her cheek with dried blood. You close her eyes. You take the bread. You eat slow, chewing each bite until it turns to warm mush in your mouth. You swallow. You wish for water. You leave the house. The street is alive with death. Knights laugh, dragging barrels of wine out of homes. Men scream, chasing chickens that don't know where to run. You see a boy crying, alone, his face smudged, holding his dead father's hand. You walk on. You hear screams. You hear prayers. You hear laughter. You hear the sound of something heavy being dropped, and you don't look to see what it was. You find water in a well. It's brown. It smells. You drink anyway. The next morning, you wake to heat pressing on your chest. The city stinks worse in the sun. It's the kind of stink that clings to your skin, seeps into your hair, your clothes, your mouth. You taste it every time you breathe. They tell you to help clear the streets. They call it holy work. You call it work. You drag a body by its legs. It leaves a red trail on the dirt. The head bounces, the mouth falls open. You don't look. You throw the body onto a cart. You go back for another. And another. And another. Your hands slip on skin slick with rot. You wipe them on your tunic. You keep going. You help dig the pits outside the city. You throw bodies in. Some are small. Some are big. All of them are dead. A priest mumbles prayers. A knight makes the sign of the cross. You just stand there, watching the lime dust swirl in the hot air, choking you as it falls on the bodies. At night, you dream of the faces. They stare at you in the dark. They don't blink. They don't leave. You wake up sweating. You can't tell if it's from the heat or the fear. They say Kerboga's army is coming. Thousands of them. With horses and swords and siege engines. You laugh. You survived the siege just to be besieged again. The knights shout orders. They drag you to the walls to help repair them. You haul stones, your fingers raw, your shoulders screaming. You stuff rags into your shoes because the stones cut your feet. You keep working. Your lips crack in the heat. Your tongue is thick. You lick your lips, taste blood. You drink water that tastes like iron and dirt. You hear men argue. You hear them say there is no food. That it's all gone. That God will provide. You believe the first two. You see the city gates closed again. You hear them bolt shut. You feel the fear roll through the streets like smoke. You pass a house where a man lies on the ground, moaning. His belly is swollen. His eyes roll. No one stops. You pass another house. You see a family inside, huddled together, whispering prayers, clutching each other. The window is open. Flies buzz. You walk on. At the well, the water is low. Men push and shove. Someone pulls a knife. Someone bleeds. No one stops. You walk away, your mouth dry. You find a crust of bread. You eat it, slow, letting it soften on your tongue, pretending it's warm, fresh. It's not. It's hard. It's dry. It's yours. At night, you lay on the floor, your blanket around you, the heat pressing down, the stink pressing in. You close your eyes. You see the faces again. You open your eyes. You are still here. You are not holy. You are not chosen. You are not victorious. You are a peasant. In Antioch. Surrounded again. Tired. Hungry. Alive. And you get to live with it. You wake up to fear. Not the sharp fear of arrows. Not the fear of the plague coughing in the dark. A heavy fear. The kind that sits on your chest and whispers. You're trapped again. You fought to get into Antioch. Now you're locked inside it. Kerboga's army has arrived. Thousands of tents spread across the fields you starved in. Thousands of fires burning through the night. Thousands of men waiting to kill you. You stand on the wall, looking out. Your hands grip the rough stone, your fingers scabbed, nails black. You see the banners in the wind. You hear drums you don't understand. You see the sun rising over a sea of spears. You feel your stomach twist. Hunger, fear, both. You don't know anymore. You climb down, your legs shaking. The city stinks worse now. Rot. Sweat. Hopelessness. You walk the streets, eyes on the ground. You see people digging through ash for crumbs. You see people selling rags for a sip of water. You see people praying, their lips cracked, voices gone. The water at the well is lower. Brown, thick, warm. You drink it anyway. You gag. You drink again. You hear coughing in the night. The wet, deep kind. The kind you remember. The kind that means plague. The bodies start piling up again. No carts this time. Just bodies in the streets, slumped against walls, lying in doorways. Eyes open. Mouths open. You walk past them. Your nose is used to the smell now. You wish it wasn't. The knights argue in the squares. They shout about treachery. About spies. About who has food hidden. About who God wants to win. You see them draw swords. You see them fight. Blood in the dust. Someone says they saw a man leaving the city at night. Someone says he's a traitor. Someone says he was looking for water. You hear screaming one morning. You run. You see a man tied to a post. A crowd around him. They say he's a traitor. They say he opened the gates. They say he talked to the enemy. They say God demands justice. They beat him. They stone him. They leave him there. You walk away. You try to find food. You find nothing. You chew on grass again. It makes you sick. You chew anyway. You look at the walls. They look taller again. The fear makes them taller. At night, the drums outside beat. You hear them in your chest. Boom. 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 They do not stop. You lay down, pulling your blanket over your head, trying to block out the drums, the coughs, the prayers, the screams. You dream of bread. You dream of water. You dream of your mother's hands. You wake up to drums. You hear rumors of visions. That a priest saw angels. That a holy lance will be found. That God will save you. You want to believe. You can't. You stand in line to get water. Men push, shove. Someone pulls a knife. Someone bleeds. You step back. You wait. You sip the water, warm, muddy. You close your eyes. You walk past a child, alone, sitting in the dust. You look around. No mother. No father. Just the child. You keep walking. You see knights preparing, sharpening swords, tightening straps, praying. You see fear in their eyes. You see a priest shouting in the square, "God is with us." You see people lift their hands, crying, praying. You stand at the back, silent, watching. You remember the siege outside. You remember the mud. You remember the hunger. You remember the lice. You remember the smell. You remember surviving. You wonder if you will again. You go back to your place. A corner of a burnt-out home, a blanket over ashes. You lay down. You pull your knees to your chest. You close your eyes. The drums keep beating. You are not holy. You are not chosen. You are not strong. You are a peasant. In Antioch. Starving again. Trapped again. Alive. And you get to live with it. You wake up to whispers. Not prayers this time. Orders. Today, they say, you will fight. Today, they say, you will break the siege. Today, they say, God is with you. Your stomach growls. You've heard it so much you almost miss it when it stops. You chew on a piece of leather, softer now from days of gnawing. You spit out a piece of dirt. You stand, stretching, bones popping, your back tight, your hands cracked and bleeding. You wrap them in rags. You pick up your dull spear. You follow the others to the square. Knights on horses, banners lifted, voices raised. They shout about God. They shout about victory. They shout about the Holy Lance. You stand there, barefoot, mud squishing between your toes, your stomach twisted, your mouth dry. You swallow. You wait. The priests walk by, waving crosses, sprinkling water. God is with you, they say. God is with you. You don't feel holy. You feel scared. You see the gates. Tall. Heavy. Closed. They will open soon. You grip your spear tighter. Your hands shake. You try to stop them. You can't. Someone vomits beside you. No one moves. The gates open. Light spills in, harsh, blinding. You see the fields outside. Tents. Spears. Banners. Men waiting. You step forward. Your feet hit dirt, dry and cracked. Dust rises, sticking to your sweat, your skin, your tongue. The knights ride out first, banners snapping, swords lifted. They look like heroes. You see the fear in their eyes. You walk behind them. Step. 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 Your breath loud in your ears. Your heart pounding, hard, painful. You hear the drums. Boom. 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 Your feet match the rhythm. You hear shouting ahead. Steel on steel. Screams. You see the knights clash with the enemy, swords swinging, horses screaming. You grip your spear. You run. The world becomes noise. Steel. Screams. Shouts. Dust clouds, thick, choking. You cough, spit, keep moving. You see a man swing a sword at you. You stab with your spear. You miss. He falls anyway, an arrow in his neck. You step over him. You see a knight fall from his horse, crushed under hooves, screaming. You see men fighting over a dropped loaf of bread in the dirt, even as arrows fly. You see blood spraying, mixing with dust, turning to mud. You slip. You fall. You roll. You get up. Your spear is gone. You pick up another from the ground. You see the walls of Antioch behind you. You see the chaos around you. You see nothing but dust and fear. You stab when you must. You run when you can. You hide behind a dead horse, catching your breath, your heart hammering so loud you think it will burst. You see a priest with a cross, shouting, "God is with us." An arrow takes him in the chest. He falls. The cross drops. You grab it. You don't know why. You put it in your belt. You stand. You run again. The heat rises as the sun climbs. Your mouth is dry, your lips cracked, your tongue swollen. You taste blood. You keep moving. You hear the screams of the dying. You hear the shouts of men calling for help. You hear the clash of steel. You hear the beating of your heart. You see men dropping, crawling, getting up, falling again. You see blood on your hands. You don't know whose it is. You wipe it on your shirt. You see a knight pull you up, shouting, dragging you forward. You stumble, follow. The enemy lines break. You see them run. You see the knights chase. You see the field littered with bodies, swords, broken banners. You stand there, breathing hard, sweat and blood on your face, your hair stuck to your skin. You feel the ground under your feet, solid, real. You are still here. You see the knights raise their swords, shouting victory. You see men drop to their knees, thanking God. You see the dead around you. You take a breath. Dust in your lungs. You cough. You take another breath. You are alive. You look at the cross in your belt. You take it out. You hold it. You are not holy. You are not chosen. You are not brave. You are a peasant. At Antioch. Covered in dust. Covered in blood. Alive. And you get to live with it victory again. They say it louder this time. You stand on the field outside Antioch. The sun is hot. The dust is thick. The smell is worse than the mud, worse than the city, worse than anything you have ever smelled. Blood. Shit. Burnt hair. Rot. Fear. Bodies are everywhere. Some still twitch. Some don't. You step around them. Sometimes you step on them. Your boots are already filthy, so it doesn't matter. You bend down, pull a dagger from a dead man's hand. You wipe it on your tunic. You keep it. You find a crust of bread in another man's pouch. You take it. You eat it, standing there, surrounded by death. You chew, slow, letting it soften on your tongue. You swallow. You wipe your mouth. You see a knight sitting in the dirt, helmet off, head in his hands. His sword is next to him, bloody. He is shaking. You walk past him. You see men dragging the dead into piles. Knights, peasants, soldiers, animals. All the same now. You hear prayers. You hear weeping. You hear laughter. You stand there, clutching your new dagger, the bread in your stomach, the dust on your face, the sweat dripping down your back. You take a breath. It tastes like iron. You walk back toward Antioch. Your legs are heavy. Your feet ache. Your skin itches under your rags, lice crawling, biting. You scratch until you bleed. You keep walking. The gates are open. You walk through. You see people cheering. You see people crying. You see people searching the faces of those who return. You see them stop, their faces falling when they do not find who they are looking for. You walk on. You go back to your corner of the burnt-out house. Your blanket is still there, covered in dust. You sit. Your stomach growls. You pat it. You smile, a small, tired smile. You lay down. You close your eyes. You see the field, the bodies, the blood. You open your eyes. You get up again. You walk to the well. The water is low, warm, brown. You drink. You gag. You drink again. You walk through the streets. Flies buzz around piles of garbage, rotting food, and bodies that no one has moved yet. The heat makes it worse. You see children digging through ashes for scraps. You see women washing clothes in brown water. You see men sharpening blades for whatever comes next. You hear people say the Turks are gone. You hear people say God saved the city. You hear people say Jerusalem is next. You chew on a piece of leather. You think about bread. You think about water. You think about going home. You know you won't. You hear a priest in the square shouting about a new crusade, about the Holy Land, about sins forgiven. People gather around him, eyes wide, hungry, tired, desperate. They cheer. You don't. You walk back to your place. You sit. You stare at the wall. You listen to the flies. You scratch your leg. You pick at a scab. You watch it bleed. You are tired. You are hungry. You are alive. You survived, Ansh. You survived the siege. You survived the breakout. You survived. That's what they call it. You are not holy. You are not chosen. You are not victorious. You are a peasant. At Ansh. With lice in your hair. With dust in your mouth. Alive. And you get to live with it. You wake up in Ansh. Alive. That's the first thought. Alive. Not safe. Not fed. Not free. Just alive. Your bones ache when you stand. Your knees crack. Your hands are scabbed and raw, the skin splitting when you bend your fingers. You wrap them in dirty cloth. You flex them anyway. You scratch your neck. Lice. Always lice. You crush them between your fingernails. You wipe your fingers on your tunic. You repeat. The city smells. It has its own heat, heavy, sticky, sweet with rot. Flies buzz around the wells. The water is warm, low, brown. You drink it anyway. You gag. You drink again. You walk the streets. You see people sweeping ashes off doorsteps. You see people pulling bodies out of collapsed houses. You see children sitting in the dust, staring. You see men sharpening swords. You see priests preaching about Jerusalem. Jerusalem. They say it like a promise. A golden city. Milk and honey. Glory. Salvation. You chew on a piece of hard bread you traded for a scrap of cloth. It cracks in your mouth. You chew until your jaw hurts. You swallow. You wish you had more. You sit on a step in the sun, pulling your knees to your chest, resting your chin. You watch people walk by. You watch the flies. You watch the dust. You feel the wind. It's warm. It carries the stink with it. You breathe it in. You close your eyes. You see the walls of Ansh. You see the fields. You see the mud, the blood, the bodies. You hear the screams. You taste the dust. You open your eyes. You hear people say they will march soon. To Jerusalem. For God. For glory. For forgiveness. You look at your hands. At the scars, the dirt, the cracks. You flex your fingers. They hurt. You think of your mother's bread. Of your brother's laughter. Of water so clear you could see the stones at the bottom. You shake your head. You stand. You walk to the well. You wait your turn. You watch the water drip. Your turn comes. You dip your cup. You sip. Warm. Dirty. Alive. You walk back to your place. A corner of a burned house. A blanket over ashes. A spear beside you. You sit. You pull your knees up. You lay your head down. You close your eyes. You are tired. You are hungry. You are alive. That's it. You survived, Ansh. You survived the mud, the plague, the hunger, the arrows, the knives, the fear. You survived the siege. You survived the breakout. You survived the victory. You survived. And now they want you to do it again. You hear the priests. You hear the knights. You hear the promises. Jerusalem. You open your eyes. You look at your hands. You look at the city. You look at the sky. You breathe in. You breathe out. You survived. But it doesn't feel like winning. It feels like waiting. You are not holy. You are not chosen. You are not victorious. You are a peasant. At Antioch. Alive. And you get to live with it.